F1 and NFL fans, the F1 tipster has returned from his trip to Abu Dhabi, and what a trip that was. So firstly, congrats to everybody on the max bet. I hope you've all enjoyed spending your winnings. And secondly, to all the naysayers of the bet, I hope you now see the way. Today, we're going in search for more value. We're leaving F1 and NFL, and we get a new guest in today. I don't really know this guy. All I know is he's Giovinazzi's biggest fan, as he's the only person that backed Giovinazzi to get more than 3.5 points finishes that I recommended last year. Pity Giovinazzi only got 1 point finish, but at least myself and this man, who we should call the politics tipster from now on, did get this lovely photo with Giovinazzi at the end of the season. Only a pity that Giovinazzi had retired from the race. His car was on a JCB and he was already on his way to Formula E. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the politics tipster.
Hi everyone, Politics Tipster here. First of all, I'd like to thank the F1 Tipster, not just for the intro or for the max bet, which I think goes without saying, we're all thankful for. But for giving me the airtime on this YouTube channel that's getting larger and larger off the back of the max bet. I was actually in Abu Dhabi for the Grand Prix, and my mate Louis was ecstatic when the 80-1 came in, and I don't think Louis had any money on it, but I think he must know the tipster, that must be it. Mysterious man. So, you know, Louis must have been rooting for him. I'd also like to take the time to thank the NFL tipster who went to the trouble of editing this video. And, you know, also thanks for the bets throughout the year, NFL tipster. I don't think any came true, but, you know, go Steelers. Anyway, politics, what am I doing here? What am I talking about? Listen, I think it goes without saying, if you're on this page, I think we all know that politics markets are much smaller than, you know, F1 or NFL. And most of the time, it's much tougher to yield value out of them. You know, more times than usual, it's just making a punt when it's around the election, and, you know, it's just a bit of crack. In the past, I've just betted on, you know, Irish elections, Irish referendums, US elections. I think the most recent bit of luck I've had is, you know, the most recent US election. But again, like I've said, it's very rare that you'll actually be able to yield good value in these markets. Having said that, I've got one, you know, short and sweet bet for you that you might fancy doing, and that I ran by the F1 tipster and he was happy with. So here we go. Before we go any further, listen, this is all going on the assumption that the next government in power in Ireland is Sinn Féin. They're currently 1-3 on Paddy Power, so I think that speaks for itself. But if you weren't going off what's on at bookmakers, I think the dogs on the street know that Sinn Féin are going to be in power. If not in the next election, in one of the future elections, but I think it goes without saying that they will be in power in the next election in some form. Personally, I think they're not going to get the majority, despite the fact that they have said that they're going to increase their number of candidates in certain constituencies. I think that they'll just be short of a majority, and they'll need to be propped up by either by independents, other left-wing parties, or maybe Fianna Fáil. I think, yeah, they might get a few independents, but they won't be singing off the same hymn sheet. Fianna Fáil, they're definitely never going to be the party they were before. So personally, I think that they're going to be kingmakers for whoever the next government is. It could be like the current government at the moment, where they're propping up a Fine Gael government, or if you want to say confidence and supply, or it's going to be them propping up Sinn Féin. With that in mind, I think that the next Fianna Fáil leader, which is the market we're going through today, is going to be a candidate who is pro-Sinn Féin or willing to go into government with Sinn Féin. So if we look at the market above here, we've got several different candidates. These are the main candidates. Listen, if you want to look at Stephen Donnelly or Willie O'Dea or Conor McGregor, like, you know, best of luck to you. That's not what we're interested in right now. These are all the main candidates for the next leader of Sinn Féin. I think that Martin is going to step down after his current tenure as Taoiseach. If he was to stay on, he probably wouldn't want to go into government with Sinn Féin, although he was criticised for it. So listen, let's go through the main candidates, and we'll conclude with my recommendation of Jim O'Callaghan to be the next Fianna Fáil leader at 11-2 on Betfair. So first of all, we have Michael McGrath. If you bring up this bet with anyone who you think is knowledgeable of politics or interested in Irish politics, they're probably going to say if it's not Jim O'Callaghan, it should be Michael McGrath. As we can see on the Betfair market, that Michael McGrath 6-4, he's favourite. He's a current minister. He's in the news quite a bit, which sort of is not as common with the likes of O'Callaghan or Cowan. Listen, McGrath's a good candidate. He's in a strong constituency. He shares it with Martin, and they have 35% of Fianna Fáil first preference votes. Even when Fianna Fáil was dwindling in that constituency, he was still able to put up a fight against Martin and get elected. I think he's a good minister and he is a good candidate, but given his experience in the current government and his work orchestrating the current programme for government and his positive dealings with Fine Gael and the Green Party, I don't think that as a Fianna Fáil leader that he's going to be willing to go into negotiations with Sinn Féin. There's been no real record of that, as opposed to, say, other candidates like Jim O'Callaghan. So with that in mind, I don't think that Michael McGrath is going to be the next leader of Fianna Fáil. Next up, look, if we want to just, cut off the fat, there's Barry Cowan and Darragh O'Brien. Darragh O'Brien, I think, housing minister in one of the worst governments for housing, or most criticised governments for housing, is not going to be the next Fianna Fáil leader. And even if he was, would that be the person who Sinn Féin want to go into government with? I don't think so. So I think we can rule him out. Barry Cowan, would have been a good candidate, but if you take into consideration, associations with the former Cowan government or the Bertie years, I don't think it's going to be a popular thing to go into a coalition with Sinn Féin for. Also, listen, there was the issue when he was Minister for Agriculture that he had to step down for. So with that in mind, I don't think that party members are going to vote for him as leader. Niall Collins, again, it's more so the way I look at Dara Calleary, who I'll get to next. I don't think that he's going to be leader of the party. He's not as prominent a member as others. McGrath's far more likely than him, and I've already spoken about him. So I'm going to rule him out. Next up, we have Dara Calleary at 10-3. Listen, current minister, what's stopping him from being the next Fianna Fáil leader? First of all, I think if you look into the potential coalition with Sinn Féin down the line, I think someone who was key in orchestrating the deal with Fine Gael and the Greens, probably not going to be likely. I think he's sort of pro the current programme for government and would be leaning more towards the pro-Fine Gael side of the party. And I think it goes without saying that the main reason why I don't think he will is that his reputation is somewhat tainted by the Golfgate scandal and his involvement in that. Which brings me on to Jim O'Callaghan, Big Jim, the man I think is going to win. Why do I think that Jim O'Callaghan is going to win? Well, let's see. First of all, he's one of the candidates there, one of the few out of them who is not from the Bertie era of Fianna Fáil party, which sort of taints everyone's reputation. Even Martin, despite his good work, his health minister, still gets associated with the Cowan and Ahern governments, which doesn't help him. Secondly, he's gotten cross-party support on an awful lot of his work. The parole bill, several other things involving justice. I think he's like a barrister or something. He's done well, and he's gotten cross-party support. And listen, I think the main thing was that when he was offered a ministership in 2020, turned it down, decided to be a backbencher. He's staying in the back and waiting for when a new election comes through or another leadership election comes through, and he can take the lead. In relation to the potential for a Sinn Féin coalition with Fianna Fáil, listen, he's openly said, I think he's the spearhead for Fianna Fáil.
Max, super, 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 Max, super, super, Max.